Hey there, welcome back to another video. I am Ramona. This is the Smell of Logic channel where we read Reddit stories, advice, opinions, that sort of fun thing. Just a whole bunch of different kinds of topics and stuff that we cover here, whatever is interesting to me at the time kind of thing. Yeah, so this one is, what are your weirdest life hacks that generally work? So this should be interesting. Nothing else entertaining. If I have some trivial thing to do, which I don't remember, I turn my watch around so the face of my watch is on my wrist. When I check the time, I can't see it. When I see the unnatural placement of my watch, it reminds me of my task. That's pretty unusual. But cool, you do it. You do you, boo. I have to do a similar thing. If I leave my pool filling and go up inside, I move my table centerpiece to the center where I will definitely notice that it's out of place when I comes downstairs again. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I do have to chime in that the idea of cutting pizza with scissors is horrible to me. It just feels very wrong. Plus, when you have to clean the cheese from in between the blades and maybe even the hinge, can you explain what your process is and why you like doing this? Apparently I missed a comment from above, but okay. Cutting, that's just, I can't imagine doing that. To get rid of hiccups, fill a glass with water, put both your thumbs in your ears, shedding the ear canals, then lift the glass with your remaining fingers between your hands in front of your face and drink the full glass of water. Hiccups gone. I don't even know how that's possible, but if someone wants to try it, go ahead. Yeah. If you maintain a 1-inch ID pipe nipple in your sphincter with a gallon Ziploc bag taped to the end, you can save a lot of time every day because the poop just comes out and you never have to stop to shit. Wow. While everyone is sharing their unique life hacks, I've got to add mine to the mix. Whenever I borrow a pin from someone, I always put the cap on the end of my shirt or hoodie string. It's a tiny adjustment, but it ensures that I never walk off with someone else's pin because the moment I stand up or feel the cap against my body, it triggers my memory to return it. It's a small gesture of respect, but it's saved me from that awkward moment of being called a pin thief more times than I can count. Plus, I make sure to choose pins that click instead of ones that with removable caps for my own use if I'm lending it out. No risk of losing the cap either. If I have to take something to work that won't fit in my purse, I'll put my keys with that item. And yes, even if it's in the fridge, laugh out loud. And when I go to leave and look for my keys, I'll remember. Tidy up your house on Friday after work. Set up your whole weekend for leisure and low-stress projects. You can pretty much anything as use anything as fly spray. I hit them with a chemical-free antibacterial eucalyptus multi-purpose spray cleaner. One spray will seriously slow them down, rendering them very easy to keep spraying a few more times until they're basically drowned. If the fly was up high out of your reach, the spray will also make them heavy and force them to come lower so you can reach them with much more easier for the remaining squirts. This works especially well on windows, where the fly will just slide down the wet glass. Since we're sharing unique life hacks, here's one I swear by. To remember important dates like birthdays or bill due dates, I set the event on an all-day appointment a couple of days early on my phone's calendar with a funny or memorable fake event title. So instead of Dad's birthday, it might be Dad's International Super Spy Day. It catches my attention every time I glance at my calendar leading up to the date, which not only ensures I don't forget about it, but also gives me a chuckle and makes the preparation more enjoyable. Plus, it's a great conversation starter when someone sees my calendar and asks why Underwater Basket Weaving Championship is marked for Tuesday. I don't know how weird it is, but we use clothes pegs to seal open bags of things in the pantry and fridge to keep them fresh. Chips, bags of mixed salad, etc. It works really well. Wiping the bathroom down for 30 seconds once a day pretty much keeps it clean, even if you start with an absolute filthy bathroom. It will slowly get cleaner and cleaner and then stay there and much more quicker than you would expect. Need a clean cup stained by tea? Baking powder works wonders to get rid of the streaks or the stains, specifically baking powder, not baking soda. I use Barkeeper's Friend for this. wintertime, I often am cold to the bone all day long. To get help getting warm and fall asleep, I use a hair dryer on low speed under the blankets. I find the motor home peaceful, and the welcome warmth and comfort helps me put me in a state of contentment and bliss. It takes a few minutes to get toasty warm, and falling asleep is so much easier. Thankfully, most hair dryers have an automatic shut-off safety feature if the nozzle temp gets too high. To warm the bones and not burn the skin, I use a hair dryer brand with the lowest minimum heat setting. There is a big difference between different brands, and continuous low heat is my preference, compared to the on and off cycling of a hair dryer between burns. Yeah, it is definitely a fire burn hazard, especially if you fall asleep with a hair dryer running. Is this really a safety concern? Have any fire inspectors ever recorded death by inappropriate use of hair dryer in bed as the cause? See, this was the whole thing with them back in the olden days. Bed warmers. It was nice and warm. You'd warm up your bed with a pan and handle thing, and yeah, people have been using that kind of stuff for quite a while. I don't think I'd use a dryer, but to each their own. Spring clean one cupboard or shelf a week. By that, I mean empty, sort, toss, wipe down, and put things back in an orderly way. A little bit every week soon adds up. Your home looks great, and it's so great to be able to find things without having to dig around for them. Hang Christmas lights in every room. They provide the perfect lighting for a movie night. We actually used to do that. Yeah. In an office setting, conducting business by work email, often processes come to a head at the end of the day and require input from someone else to move forward. At the end of the day, no one checks email anymore, and they certainly don't act on them right away. The next day brings new challenges, and my email goes unanswered for days. After 2 p.m., I set those emails to send the next day 10 minutes after the start of working hours. People are primed to check off a task someone is presently working on, so they nail it because they are just settling in at their desk and they think that I am on the other end waiting for a response. Secondarily, if I send a work email requiring a response and get an out-of-office reminder, I recall the email and have it sent to deliver at the beginning of the day they return so it doesn't get lost in the bulk of unanswered emails. I hate to hunt things. Such a time waster. I don't hunt for it. I go to the thing's assigned place. Then I walk in with the door with my keys in one spot on a shelf at the garage door. Cell has 2 places, beside my chair or my work studio's place, no other spot. Purse hangs on my coat rack. When I come home, I never toss things anywhere. It goes to its place. This works in my studio, which has had the same arrangement for decades. Easel here, tabouret beside it, supplies in specific drawers in a chest. I don't hunt for my colored pencils. I go to their drawer. I developed this habit in the Air Force. In a medical crisis, you don't have time to hunt for something. You go to its assigned place in the supply cabinet, grab it, and get back to the patient. That formula works for literally everything. Wear ear protection to get better quality music during concerts. My theory is that the EQR protection blocks the rebounding sounds so you don't hear duplication. It also makes lyrics more hearable. I create a note in Notes on my phone with weekend to-dos and add to it throughout the week. Groceries, car wash, Costco, return at Target, Home Depot, etc. Below, bring grocery bags in, Target, return item, etc. Below it, I have my grocery list. I keep my AC filters, filter sizes, battery sizes for certain items in the same note in case I add a pickup filter home at Home Depot on a future trip. If I'm looking for a piece of furniture or accessory at a thrift or vintage shop, I keep their measurements. I have my house as a contact on my phone. In Notes, I have things like AC filter dimensions and other details. I have my pets as contacts with important dates and registration numbers for their show dogs. Actually, pretty smart. I like that idea. Wearing swim goggles while cutting onions. I butter things with the back of a spoon. I never use a knife. Ever. Blinking fast for a minute to help fall asleep at night. That's interesting. I never thought of that. Using newspaper to clean dirty mirrors does the trick for me. See, I use it for windows. I just use old newspapers because that's what my mother always taught me. Just, use newspapers. It doesn't leave as many streaks, and for some reason it works really well. When I come home, I throw my keys in the middle of the entry floor rug so I can find them later. This only works if your floor is clean and you don't have small kids. I always want to reward myself before I start an assignment or something I'm dreading. I think the idea of having to work to earn a reward is dumb, and rewarding myself beforehand always lifts my mood, which in turn makes me more productive. Store fresh ginger root in the freezer. It grates easier and you don't have to peel it. You can then cut the sugar by a third to a half in most recipes with no change in flavor. Do gift shopping year-round. If you see something a friend or relative would like for a gift 6 months before their birthday, get it anyway. Put it in a gift spot, and when you're ready to go, prevents both stress and overspending. When you feel a cramp coming on, or if it's already happening, shoot some mustard in your mouth or a shot of pickle juice. I psychologically perpetrate my cramps a bit, and I need a little shock sometimes to take me out of them. I've never heard of mustard, but pickle juice, I know a lot of people that use pickle juice for cramps, sore muscles, that sort of thing. That's very, yeah. The mustard, I don't think I could do. I hate mustard with a passion, actually. There's absolutely no way of cutting a pizza with scissors that is any easier than just 2 cuts with a standard chef knife. Apparently that was an ongoing thing. Asking the fast food chain to serve you French fries with no salt forces them to make you a fresh batch that were always piping hot and crispy. Salt you can add yourself later, but that means you get the freshest possible fries. When you clean the house, put on shoes. For some reason, it motivates me to keep going. I can't explain it. I realize that my kids get so many Christmas presents from their grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., that my husband and I could get away with buying them just 3 or 4 presents each. Because they're not really clocking what comes from who, this may not be one that works as well as when they get older, but the oldest is 8, and it's been fine so far. When you're going to cook dinner, don't do everything at once. Cut some onions and go watch some Simpsons. Cut some meat, go do some laundry. I do this throughout the day when I'm going to make dinner. Point and say. Like I have Invisalign right now, last 2 years, and like they say, the trays are invisible. I can't tell how many times I've lost those effers on the rock countertop. When you're hangry, and in the kitchen, you tend to forget where you set your teeth down on a quest for food. I learned to point at them and say out loud to myself where they are. It has worked for my cell phone, garden tools, work gloves, car keys, knitting needles, etc. That's actually, yeah, I've done that sort of stuff. You just kind of, you tell yourself where they are so you remember it. It's funny to me that your life hack is cutting pizza with scissors. OP, because when my kids were young, I cut things like pancakes and waffles with a pizza cutter. That's my life hack. Pizza cutters. Not eating Turkish delight. Never regretting my decision after that one taste I did have. I don't get criticized for this, but no one else seems to find it particularly interesting. So, I always try to clip my nails right after a shower. They're softer from prolonged water exposure and lined from the pruny hands. It makes them cut cleaner and easier. Yes, even the big toe. And they don't fly across the room. So that's what I was always taught. We grew up doing that. You always clip your fingernails, your toenails after a shower or a bath because it's just the way it is. I thought that was common knowledge. Okay. Use dryer sheets to remove lint from the lint screen. Oh, see, now that's kind of cool. I may have to think about doing that because it's worth a shot, right? As a procrastinator, instead of thinking I'll do this task at XX date and time, I replace it with I should finish this task by XX date and time. Because for some odd reason, I'm fueled by the thought of deadlines. If I need to remember to take something before I leave, usually something in the fridge, I write it on a tiny post-it and stick it right in front of my front door right handle by the handle so I will not forget. Or I stick it on my keys. Yeah, I do that. Yeah. If you need to remember to do something important when I get home from work, I put a sticky note on my phone. I have a lot of reminders in my phone, but they're for appointments, overtime, etc. Most of the time, I remember those anyway. I just get too many notifications. I buy rice in 20-pound sacks. I transfer the rice to pasta sauce and other jars that I have washed in a food funnel. I always have rice in an easy-to-use container. Always close my eyes every time I put on my glasses and switch to my sunglasses. Poking your eyes hurt. Yeah, you're not wrong. I save the plastic tabs from bread bags. Stick the tabs to the end of a roll of tape to keep the tape from sticking to the roll and attach it every time. Also use tabs to organize wires and cords on your computer and devices. See, now that's actually very smart. I am very impressed with that one. I probably won't do it, but I'm impressed by it, which means something, I'm sure, to someone. Old school calendar on your wall. Write down everything on it ASAP. Put it by your fridge, and you'll always have a reminder of what you need to do. I have a file on my phone with a lot of important data, usually regarding bank info or personal family documents, that sort of thing. I do a lot of things for my dad and my fiance, so I usually need their SSNs and things like that. Straighten, clean as I go, especially when cooking. Dirty dishes go straight into the dishwasher or wash them by hand ASAP. When doing an annoying but necessary task like cleaning, I'll plan to work until the next quarter hour, so 15 minutes max. Usually I space up and end up going longer. If the kitchen is really trashed, I'll see what I can do before the end of an episode of Bob's Burgers. Having a splatter guard lid in the microwave helps keep it clean. Putting things back where I found them, and my keys were attached to a courier bag, so I'm not always looking for them. Drive a car like you're anticipating bullshit. People multitask and space out behind the wheel, so I try to float through traffic like a waltz through a crowd of hockey players. Helps prevent an accident and minimizes the stress of driving. This one, we're going to end it with this one because I don't know where to go from this one after this one. I spit on my toilet paper so that it's a little wet and it makes the wipe 10 times cleaner and more efficient. Yeah, we're going to leave it there because I can't top that one. And I don't think I want to, honestly. Yeah. But okay, so let me know what you think in the comments of some of those that might work for you, or you might completely disagree with them. But some life hacks, weird ones, definitely weird ones. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching. Go check out another video. There's plenty here on the channel, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, and bye.